watching, you can see who's downtown for us.
Yes, it would be 10 News reporter Leslie Ackerson live on Market Square, where lots of people expected to gather to celebrate the new year, possibly in the rain. Leslie.
That's right. Good evening, Robin and John. Now, right now, there's a little bit of wind, and I can see some scary storm clouds moving quickly in the sky, but I have not felt a raindrop just yet, but we do know that is coming. As you said, this is always a popular event for the city of Knoxville. They always have a great turnout, and they're hoping the weather will cooperate, but they know that might not be the case, so they are prepared. Now, they do say everything is going to go on rain or shine. It's just the lightning and the thunderstorms that could cause concern. If they do see lightning, they will need to clear the square just for safety for people, and also know that the rain could impact the skating. Now, the ice rink can kind of get slushy and messy, and they may need to shut that down if that causes a problem. Now, events are going on all across East Tennessee, and up in Gatlinburg, their event has been going on since 1987, and they said nothing is going to stop it tonight.
Really haven't had to ever cancel for, anything weather related. If we do have high winds, they'll be delayed, but fireworks, they have to be launched regardless, so rain or shine, they are going to be launched. Now, Mother Nature could kind of tie into if that happens exactly at midnight or a few minutes after. That's weather dependent clearly, but the fireworks will go off and the show will go on. And what an exciting place to have New Year's Eve regardless.
You can find that and more events on our website on the 10 About Town section, as well as links to the city, to Gatlinburg. That way you can say update in case any of their weather plans affect their events tonight. I can hear the music getting started behind me, Robin and John. One cancellation we do want you to know about: Anakista had to cancel their New Year's Eve event due to the wind advisory, so be aware of that. If you did buy a ticket to that, you can use it in the next year. But for now, I'm going to send things back to you guys in the studio. Cheers!
Getting the party started early, Leslie. Thank you very much.